Imagine waking up tomorrow with crushing debt, empty cupboards, and creditors threatening to take your children away. Sounds like a modern nightmare, right? Yet this exact scenario played out thousands of years ago in one of the most remarkable stories of miraculous provision. Picture this. A widow stands in her humble home, her hands trembling as she holds her last jar of oil. Her late husband, once a respected prophet, left her with nothing but debt. Now, creditors are coming to take her 2 sons as slaves. In her desperation, she turns to the prophet Elisha for help. What happens next defies all logic. Elisha doesn't give her money. Instead, he gives her an unusual instruction. Go and borrow empty jars from your neighbors. Not just a few, but as many as you can get. The widow must have been confused, but she trusts and obeys. With her son's help, she gathers jar after jar from her neighbors. Behind closed doors, she begins to pour from her single flask of oil. Amazingly, the oil keeps flowing. One jar fills, then another, and another. The precious liquid continues to flow until every single borrowed container is full. But here's where it gets even more interesting. The oil stops flowing only when there are no more jars to fill. Think about that for a moment. The miracle matched the size of her preparation. She could have borrowed more jars and received more oil. The limitation wasn't in the supply. It was in the vessels ready to receive it. The widow sells the oil, pays off her debts, and has enough left to support her family. But this story isn't just about financial rescue. It's about how ordinary items, empty jars, became vessels of extraordinary provision. It's about a mother's faith and how small acts of obedience can lead to overwhelming abundance. In our modern world of credit cards and bank loans, this ancient story still resonates. It teaches us about faith in times of crisis, the importance of taking action even when instructions seem strange, and how abundance often flows through community. After all, those jars came from neighbors. What empty jars are we being asked to gather in our own lives? Maybe they're opportunities we've overlooked, relationships we need to build, or skills we need to develop. Sometimes, like the widow, we need to prepare for provision before we see any evidence of it. The miracle of the widow's oil reminds us that when we're at our most desperate point, unprecedented provision might be just one act of faith away. And sometimes, the solution to our biggest problems starts with something as simple as an empty jar.